For the past 5 episodes, we've landed ourselves in the profit, making a total of £405. This brings our total profit for this season up to £818.92. The target for this season is £2,000 and we're only 20 episodes in. I buy faulty electronic items, attempt to fix them and sell them on for a profit. Welcome your faces back to episode number 21, season 2 of the series Profit or Loss. I don't know what that was. Please let the luck continue and let's hit a nice win streak of 6 in today's episode. So what have you got for us today, Joey? Well, I thought I'd start off nice and easy with this particular item that ironically, I don't think I fixed one yet. Well, if we go back over to Sally's Spectacular Spreadsheet, episode 2 and 3, I had an Xbox Series X. I couldn't fix them, which equaled a loss. Episode 4, I had a Series X. Couldn't fix it, equaled a loss. And I've not touched one since. For some reason, though, I've got a really good feeling about today. I paid a total of, what was that? Oh, well, there's something rattling inside here, which is obviously not great. I paid a total of £160 for this Xbox Series X. Now, hear me out. It says ports condition is all good. Console able to power on? No. Can it boot to the main dashboard? No. The fault itself is no power, no response when you press the power or eject buttons. I saw this picture and I thought, okay, wicked. It doesn't look like the console's been gone into, from what I can tell. However, methinks it has been gone into. And can you see where I'm talking about? Just up here, we have the tiniest little indication that this has been taken off before. Has it? Who knows? Not me. I'm just pulling on it now. Maybe it hasn't, you know. Maybe somebody went to and then stopped, but something's definitely rattling around in here, which doesn't sound great. This sticker down here also looks pretty factory and doesn't look like it's been opened, so we might be all right. Before we take a deep dive into this console, a huge thank you to today's sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay is your website for DIY. Get an instant quote on your PCBs at a low cost with fast delivery. New customers will also get a $5 welcome bonus. Fully customize your PCB with a few clicks, including the thickness of the board to the color of the solder mask. PCBWay also offers services in CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, and also injection molding. Head on over to the gift store and grab yourself a multimeter or a soldering iron. PCBWay has it all. Thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring today's video. Now back to the repair. Let's plug in the power and see if it tells us a story. And hopefully it doesn't blow my fuse board like it has in the past. I heard a crackle. All right, power button, 3, 2, 1. Nada. Disk drive, nothing. Okay. Sweet, so we definitely have no power. We like that. Been a while since I've taken one of these apart, to be honest with you. And the last time I did, I didn't think I had my trusty electric screwdriver, so that's going to come in really handy for this console. First off, we're going with a bubbly 200 degrees Celsius just to melt the glue on this sticker. Airflow speed 99%, by the way. Okay, cool, interesting. I'm just going to do down here whilst I'm here as well. It may seem that there was a little bit of adhesive missing from that, perhaps some telltale signs. We should be able to tell very quickly if somebody's been inside here or not. Grab our T8, let's go. Pop the hood. Nothing massively obvious on this layer of the board, that's for sure. So we look all right. The first thing I need to do with this console is A, give it a visual inspection on the top level and see if there's anything fishy that I suspect might be causing the issue. The second thing is going to be to check the power supply. Make sure we have 12 volts coming from both of the cables on the PSU. So far, so good, to be 100% honest. That wasn't what was rattling, was it? No. But that coming off like that shouldn't be a thing. This drive is oot. That connector seems okay. This has been taken apart before, I'm sure, because this wasn't stuck down and has lost its stickiness. So I think this has been taken apart. Cooling it now. Oh yeah, right. So what's rattling? Oh, it's it's a bumper from an Elite Series controller. You know, the triggers, sorry, on the back. That's what that's from. Right, let's get this top plate off so then we can expose the power supply and just make sure everything is good with that. Right, what's the situation here then? All right, so we're on DC voltage. We've got the multimeter set up there. Let's go for power plugged in. And like I said at the start, we're looking for 12 volts on 2 connectors. This one for the top board and this one for the bottom board. Do we get 12 volts? No. Let me check this one. No, we have a dead power supply. I mean, yay. I'm happy, I guess, because that's a really easy fix. And easy fixes mean easy profit. So I should be really happy. I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it. I'm going to have to. That's the name of the game, Joey. That's the name of the game. Let's just make sure we don't have a short on any of the rails. Nope, top board seems to be fine. Just making sure on the bottom board as well. Yeah, the 12 volt on both boards is no issues. So I was checking for continuity there to see if we had a short to ground on any of the 12 volt rails, but seems all right. All I should really need to do is get a power supply, pop that on, give it a test. Bob's your uncle. However, imagine if there was a world where I've sold all the faulty Xboxes that I've attempted to fix because I've not been able to fix them, and I don't have a power supply for an Xbox Series X. Imagine a world where that is the case, because I, for one, really hope that that is not the case. And we are 150,000% not buying an Xbox Series X power supply, because they are expensive. So ultimately, that leaves us with one option: to the loft. Yes, I had to actually move the camera and record that for your benefit. Ooh. PS5, 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 PS5. I can't see a single Xbox Series X. Ugh. Unfortunately, no success in the power supply. I'm fuming. Very angry at myself. Well, I can't Adam and Eve it. I think I'm going to have to put a pause to that for the time being, which is extremely frustrating for many reasons. One, I want to make a profit. Two, it now means that I've got to have this Xbox lying around here in my room whilst I wait on a power supply. And again, I'm not going to buy one until I potentially pick up an Xbox Series X that's faulty. And hopefully it has a good power supply. Unless I stumble across one that I can use for this console. And the best part about it is that I can't obviously fully test it, so I have no idea if when we do get a working power supply, is that going to be the only issue with this console? Who knows? But for the time being, we're going to have to park it. Right, no stress. Let's move on to item number 2. This is the second item of the agenda, and I paid £150 for this faulty disc edition PlayStation 5, and it does in fact have no power. Condition wise, yeah, all right. A little bit of a scrap. Oh, what was that? Oh my, there's another noise. Are you having me on? There's another noise in here. Okay, fun fact. It has been opened before. I kind of ripped that off like a plaster, hey? Oh, there's a screw that is meant to go right there. We're also missing a screw on the fan here. We're missing a screw here. How many other screws are we missing in this one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not looking good. I've cursed myself this episode. Let me just check to see that we definitely get no power. So go ahead and plug that in. Do we get a beep or anything? Or straight up no power? It's just a straight up no power. That's pretty cool. All right. I like these ones. Saying that is probably going to haunt me in the next hour or two, I guess. Pause for a second, because this absolute bean of a human didn't realise that he was wearing a top that had his breakfast on it from the morning. Take that off. Let's see if we've got... I highly, highly doubt it. But you never know. Sometimes I've seen stranger things happen. Not today. Let's get it taken apart. Wrong screw has been put in down there, I think, as well. That's the wrong screw that's been put. Oh, that's quite a big one as well. That's quite a big screw. That's meant to go where the fan is down here. So in comparison, that one is meant to be where I've just pulled out, and instead we've had that in its place. So there's quite a big difference there. I hope that hasn't caused any damage. Okay, let's see if I can help you, little buddy. Well, the antenna has been ripped off here. Is it stuck in here? I think it is, so that's going to need replacing, I assume. Let's disconnect these ones as well. How's the LED cable looking? Not great. Wow. This has been super chewed. Don't know if you can see just there, but that's probably not going to be working. In which case, now that I've disconnected that, I wonder, do we get a beep? No beep. I thought I'd just try my luck, because that is extremely chewed. Disconnect the other wires. Disconnect the disk drive. Disk drive hasn't been opened, which kind of fills me with some hope. I'll show you that broken antenna a little bit more closely later on. Wow, that one's just spinning. That one's been put back in the wrong place. It's meant to go up here, but instead they put it below. Okay, that comes off. I wonder. Now, I could just be talking rubbish here, but this shielding that I've just removed felt quite, I don't know how to explain, stuck to the motherboard, and that's usually an indication that nobody's been inside the console before. So I'm now starting to wonder if they just kind of got as far as this, removing the screws, and then going, I don't actually want to touch this anymore, because maybe they broke the antenna wire up here, because these don't look stripped at all, which are the Phillips heads, and I can't see any signs of flux or anything like that on the board, which is obviously a really, really, really good sign, but as always, I could be wrong. So let's just take that off, plan for the APU. And what I'm going to do is put this cable back in, give it some power, and quickly check for our voltages and make sure that we've got our 12 volts, because maybe it's something as simple as a power supply. Imagine that, 2 power supplies on the trot in the same video. And the good thing is that I know I've got plenty of PlayStation 5 power supplies, so we won't be having a repeat of the last fiasco. Okay, multimeter in DC voltage. Let's test our 12 Vs. So we're going to ground our black wire. Okay, we have 12 volts. All right, not going to be as simple as what I thought. Do we have 5? We have 5. Do we have 3? No. Okay, so we have a short on our 3.3 volt rail, which can be, again, a plethora of things, but at least we found a short somewhere. That's really, really good news. Going to do a little pokey in some of our suspected areas. Oh, no. Okay, right. This isn't planned, I promise. The first place I've checked, I found a short. Well, it's 28 ohms. No, that's 363. Oh, wait a minute. Has it sorted itself out? Oh, okay. Well, it was around about 20 ohms or so, and now it's shorted itself out. But now that's disappeared. So that was a little bit strange there. I don't know why that was happening, but we seem to be hovering at around about 120, 114. I think something's not happy. I'll continue poking around just on this side of the board. Now, our 3.3 volt isn't shorted to ground per se. We just don't have the 3.3 coming through. Let's check our south bridge. 800 ohms there, which is very normal. 800 there as well. Could be on the back of the Wi-Fi IC. Very possible. Okay, let's get the board out. Now that we've verified it's a 3.3 volt rail short. I don't think this has dreaded heatsink, thank goodness. Yeah, it doesn't. Lovely. We put the board on the desk. Now we've got the other side of the board, which we can check for shorts. Just having a quick look around. See if I can distinguish exactly where that's coming from. Let's check the Wi-Fi IC up here. Now, from what I recall as well, most of the fuses run on 5 volts, so I don't know if we're going to have a split fuse here. I doubt it. There's potential though. Oh. Okay, I think we do. I'll eat my words right there and then. Let's head on over to the microscope, just around here. Right, let me just double check, make sure. Yeah, so that fuse is open, so we don't have a continuous path through it. So what you're meant to have on a fuse is a continuous path. If I hold my probes together, that's a continuous path. We don't have that through the fuse. So whatever connection is on this pad needs to get to this pad, vice versa, and that's not happening. So if I measure here, we seem to be all good. We've got ohms. If I measure here, we've got open line. So we don't necessarily have a short here, but something that's gone through this fuse has made it not very happy. So I'm just going to measure around this chip here. I can't locate any shorts around the IC. A little bit strange in the sense that this fuse has quote unquote blown, as we can tell because it's open, but I can't find any shorts. If I was to suspect there was a short anywhere, it would be here on this rail going maybe into this IC, but we just get open line. Let me switch over to diode mode. So we flip the leads now. The red probe goes on ground and the black probe I use to measure. And I'm just going to see what reading we get here. We get a minus, you see that? I'm just waiting for it to catch up. Okay, weirdly. What do we get in resistance mode then? So how many ohms do we get here? 4K and rising. Something's not right. And I don't really know what isn't right. This is a little bit of a tough one, if I'm honest. I was expecting to see a short, but I'm not getting that. Okay, I'll tell you what I am going to do. Measure other fuses really quick, just whilst I'm here, and see if our problem lies elsewhere. Because it could just be throwing me off at this point. Doesn't seem like it. Seems okay everywhere else. Yeah. Everywhere else seems okay. Pay some attention to this area of the circuit as well, which is directly on the back side of it. Just going to measure around and see what I get. That's ground. Okay. Nothing there. What about the caps just north of it? Any shorts on here? Doesn't seem like it, hey? No. Interesting one for sure. Could this fuse have potentially blown because of this chip? Just straight up? Could it be that the fuse itself? I don't think a fuse itself just goes bang for no reason. So I don't want to just change it out and test. But I mean, it's definitely open. Right, I think what I'm going to do is solder a little bit of wire to the PCB and inject 3.3 volts on the 3.3 volt line. I'm hoping that's going to tell me a little bit of a story. I've done this before and it's worked. So I'm just going to add a little bit of leaded here. Come in with my new botched wire. I should probably hook up the right way round just in case I mess something up here. That'll do. So that's the probe that's hot because I've just soldered a wire to the actual probe itself. I'm drawing 150 milliamps, and this is an area that seems to be getting hot, which is the back of the chip that we seem to have an issue with. So if I turn the board over and go with 3 now, here we go. This little chippy right here is getting hot. So it could be the actual chip itself that is the issue. Might have some sort of internal short or something like that, and it's just struggling to do what it needs to do. But I'm kind of tempted to just replace this chip and replace the fuse and see what happens. I've got plenty of these donor chips knocking about here, so it should be nice and simple, we hope. But sometimes not everything is simple. So we go 480 degrees Celsius, 99% airflow, and let's remove both this chip here as well as this fuse. My personal opinion is I think this fuse has blown because of this dialog IC. There we go. Not going to replace the solder or anything along those lines. Just going to straight up drop a chip on with some flux and we should be good. Come in with the other chip. Believe it or not, this is the same chip and it is on the correct way. I'll show you in a second. Grab our fuse whilst we're here. Flux, whilst the board is hot. We're actually down now at 450 degrees Celsius and an airflow speed of 50%. Just to make sure this flux doesn't spread everywhere and go all over the board and bring down the heat. It's probably advised as much as you can without making your life an absolute pain. But there we go. It's being soldered on. Maybe give it a little tap, which we can't yet. That's okay. And then the actual fuse. Make sure that's soldered on, which it is now. I'm just going to push down on that chip a little bit, just a tad, to make sure that it's all connected underneath. I actually think it could just come over this way a tad as well. There we go. Fun fact, I don't think I've ever had one of these go bad on me, so this will be a first, to be honest. Put some flux here for this cap because I did knock it. There we go. Now we just wait to give this a nice clean. I'm going to let the board cool down for 2 seconds. Then we'll come in with some IPA, a toothbrush, and our microfiber cloth. Right, so to make sure it's definitely soldered on correctly. Looks it. This side, all good. This side, all good. And this side, all good. So this is the same chip, and I know that the text now seems a different way because it was pointing this way before. But if you look here, the circle is here, which indicates pin 1, and then we have the arrow on the board to also confirm that's where pin 1 goes. I'm just going to test this fuse and make sure it's all good. I didn't do that, which is really silly of me. On the donor, I just kind of took the fuse and went, yeah, that's going to be absolutely fine. Let's check. Okay, it is going to be absolutely fine. Now, if I go into diode mode, I'm going to have a look and see what we're getting on this pad here. What do we get now? There we go. That looks a lot more healthier. 0.26, and we'll get the same on this side as well. 0.26. So, was it indeed just this chip that was acting up and caused this PS5 to fall over? Let's find out. Now, I'm going to check for voltages before I just go ahead and power this on, because I'm not going to plug this in because it's clearly ruined. Like, I can't use that. Even if I could, I wouldn't, because it just doesn't look nice. I'm going to put this into DC voltage mode. And then again, check around the console to just make sure we still have our 12. I'm assuming we do. We do. Now do we have our 3.3? We do. And our 5? Yes. Okay. So we got our 5, our 3, and our 12. Do ye power on, my friend? I'll go an extra mile here. I'm actually going to put this on so I can plug the fan in. 3, 2, 1. Good sign. Is it a beep on, beep off, or is it just a stay on sort of situation? Because the fan is still spinning, which is nice. I need to plug in the HDMI to see how we are getting on, but that's really, really good news. Really, really good news. I'm actually in a little bit of disbelief that this one was that simple, considering the state of it when I had a look originally, and I could see all of those screws and stuff missing. So that is a result. Let me just make sure we're getting picture. Yeah, we do. And the HDMI port is absolutely fine. Okay. I can't believe it. I'm super shocked. Let's turn it off. So that one wasn't like a ridiculous SSD controller issue or a self-bridge issue. That was just that one chip that had potentially blown that fuse, causing this PS5 to be obsolete. Now, previously, in like my lesser experienced days, I definitely wouldn't have known to inject that 3.3 volts onto the 3.3 rail. And I would have been hunting around for shorts, racking my brain thinking, what is wrong with this console? So I'm quite happy with this fix. However, it's not as easy as that because this isn't 100% fixed. The antenna FPC? No, it's not an FPC. What is it? The antenna thing that I was talking about earlier, I'm going to show you now under the scope because that needs to be fixed. I'm not too sure how to tackle that. Believe it or not, this is also a first on the JDT channel. How on earth do we fix you, my friend? I think we just clean it up with a little bit of solder wick and then desolder one from another board using our hot air gun from the other side and rinse and repeat that process to put it on this board. So heat from the underside of the board and just flow it into place. I think that's what I'm going to do anyway. Again, this is new to me. So let's just drop on a little bit of flux. I think the cable is going to need replacing as well. I'll show you why in a second. And then we come in and let's just wick this away. Get it nice and clean so I can actually see my life and what's going on here. Something just fell off my desk. Nice! Wipe this. Ooh. Now that's because you see how this is really sticky pretty much straight away after I've used a soldering iron there. And the reason why that is because the board was actually relatively cold when I was using my soldering iron. So as soon as my soldering irons come off the board, it's cooled down pretty much instantly. And I've tried to clean it with a cotton swab and things have just got sticky. Whereas now I just use some IPA, Bob's your uncle. Now that's really, really clean. Just going to check the status of the other ones because I don't want them being messed up as well. They're fine. So I don't understand how they bodged the other ones so bad. And this one here is going to be our chosen donor. I don't know what it's called. If somebody in the comments could let me know what this is actually called. It's not an FPC. It's not the actual antenna because that's the wire. What is this? Can we call this the antenna plug? I guess. Anyway, I'm going to heat from the bottom of the board. And what's nice about this is it is so close to the edge of the board, I don't think it's going to take long to get this off. So here we go. Heating from underneath at 480 degrees Celsius. I'm not going to need any flux or anything along those lines here. Just kind of remember the orientation it's in. Although I don't think it matters because we've got a copper contact this side as well. So I don't know if it matters if we flip it 180. If we flipped it 90 degrees, I think that's when it would matter. I'm not too sure. I'm just now waiting for that solder to melt in there. The reason I'm heating from the other side of the board is because if I went from the top side, you see all of this white bit, that is plastic, and it would be blown away into another dimension and would be melted all over. So what I'm going to try and not do here, because it's going to be sensitive to heat anyway, I'm going to try not to squish the plastic, try and grab it from the copper and lift up. It's very close now, see that? There we go, just like that. I put it to the side, keep it in that orientation so I don't forget. Grab the other board in question, and I now need to add some flux and retin this with leaded. Not very even, but that should do the job nonetheless. Wipe away this flux. I don't want that much there. And then I'm going to come in with a tiny bit like that. I'm going to sit the connector on top, and that should really solder it into place. I'll just leave it like that. Again, underneath the board, 480 degrees Celsius, 99% airflow. We should see this melt in place relatively quickly because now we're using leaded solder instead of unleaded solder. And leaded solder has a lowering melting temperature, so it should be quicker. You see that flux melting underneath? Solder's about to go as well. And our antenna plug, just like that, is nice and soldered on. There we go. Give it a little tap just to make sure it's not going to move, which is not. I'll come in with my little microfiber cloth here. Just dab up that flux. I don't really want to use the cotton buds here because I don't want them getting caught and leaving fibers everywhere. So that's why I'm using the microfiber. There we go. Good as new. You wouldn't even know. I'm actually going to show you the antenna wire of what's attached to the console currently, just to kind of try and understand what it is that they did. Maybe they just tried to solder it like that. I don't know, but that's the old one, and I'm not going to be able to retrieve the old one out of there. This cable I think is donezo, you know. So I'll just take this apart and it needs a clean anyway, and I need to also replace this ribbon cable for the LED strip as well. And that is going to be as simple as just lifting the chassis up and removing said cable. Put that back for the time being. 2 screws on this side means that we can now lift this out and give it a clean because that is dusty. So now that's had a good clean, I can just simply swap this antenna out for a replacement. And there's little bits of dust around here that I'm just going to use my microfiber for because that's what they're meant to do. There we go. Then we can put the PSU in, make sure that's all in correctly, which it is. That is the base part of it done. Jubbly. Now I just need a replacement LED ribbon cable. Okay, replacement ribbon cable's been put in. Now the final touches with the liquid metal, and this liquid metal on here is actually fine. And reassemble, and then we have to test the disk drive, etc., and make sure everything else works with this board. All right, really good news is that I've put this back together. I've just literally powered it on. It goes to a white light, which is fantastic. I've synced up a controller because I needed to disable HDCP so you guys could see what's going on the screen, and I have spoiled something for myself and you guys, so I do apologize. If we head over to the game capture, when I turned the PS5 on, I could hear the disc wearing up, and as you can see, Spider-Man Miles Morales is copying from a disc. If we go to the overhead, I've pressed the disk drive button, and you shall see in a second, we do in fact have Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PlayStation 5. So that is an added bonus. That's going to go straight in my games collection. I find it much better to sell the PS5s strictly on their own than with like a bundle or something to help increase the price of the sale. And I just hold on to the discs, and maybe one day if I choose to let a few go, I can do that. The disk drive works. I've also tested the distance of the controller, and I can go all the way into the other room with closed doors. I've also been able to connect to the Wi-Fi, so I'm now going to plug in the LAN cable just to go through any updates. Unfortunately, it's not a low firmware version, even though it's a earlier revision. However, what a fantastic little profit this one has been. With that being said, yes, it's the next day and I've cleaned that mess up that was on me previously. Let's say hello to Sally's Spectacular Spreadsheet to see what the situation is. So we have, yet again, another disc PS5, but they're making the profits. Already listed up on eBay as well, just waiting for it to sell. Cost for this one was $150. Parts, everything was donor. Estimated sale price, I'm going to say $250 with £18 postage. Now I do have to add the Xbox Series X here, which is probably going to sit around on this spreadsheet for a while, which is really annoying. And that was $160. 0 for parts so far anyway, and I should be able to sell that for, I'm going to say, around about $240 or so, and again that'll be £18 on the delivery. Now I did have an eBay return. The console that we managed to fix with the dodgy fan connector and the replacement SSD controller came back to me on eBay. They actually tested the console when they got it and it powered on. Left it a few days for them to buy a controller. They went to turn it on just after Christmas and it wasn't working. It was beep on, beep off. So I said immediately, send it back to me and we'll work something out, whether that be a full refund to you, I have a look at that PS5, fix it and return it, or alternatively what I said, and probably the quickest thing that I could do, was send a working PlayStation 5 to them whilst I investigate this issue. And that's exactly what we've done. So I've got the console back. I need to have a look at it, which will probably be a separate video. And I've just given them another PS5 that I fixed, which was just a HDMI port. And I've been kind of scratching my head onto how to work this out on here. And I think the best thing to do is, for the time being, it's highlighted here. I'm just going to remove that and deduct from episode 20 the total profit we accrued. So let's just make that blank for the time being. So we're now waiting on a couple of things to update. Like I said, there'll be a video probably separately on this PS5 that was returned. And the only thing that's really changed on this is we've minus something from the actual profit, but that's because of the eBay return. Two relatively quick fixes, as long as I can replace the power supply. I think it's, round it up, it's going to be around about 2 hours worth of work. And that currently leaves us scores on the doors. Our actual profit has changed because I've just minus the eBay return. But the estimated profit is £486.84. And with that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. I'll leave the playlist up here to start this season from the very beginning. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your time. Have a great rest of your day, week, weekend, whatever it is for you. And I will see you, as always, in the next one. Peace.